and Dave Daly right here on the Muskegon Channel. I'm Andy O'Reilly. Dave Cackley's over yonder, and I got to tell you, dude, I'm tired today. Long day.
What's wrong?
Well, we covered the big city or county commission meeting last night.
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that later on.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I figured you would.
Yeah.
But for us to, because it was our first county commission meeting that we covered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was at a different place, and it was all this other stuff. We literally got there at 11 o'clock yesterday morning, left at 9:30 last night.
Well, it was, it's obviously a hot
day.
topic. If you're gonna cover a city commission meeting, which I used to have to cover in Kalamazoo over 20 years ago, county committee. That's what I mean.
Right,
county commission. I used to have to cover Kalamazoo's, and those things are usually boring as hell. They're the worst things in the world. They're awful. This one had fireworks though, so that's always good. It's always good.
I mean, to a degree, everybody was civil. There were some passionate people and things. But anyway, we'll let you get into the story. I'm just telling you, dude, I'm wiped out.
Okay.
That was a long day.
Understood. Well, good for you for getting up.
That's what we do.
And delivering. I know you had to set your alarm for 8:04 a.m. That's really difficult for you.
I know.
But granted, I've been up, got a full day's work in already. But
we were. I was down here recording the radio show for this morning last night after 10. And by about the 9 o'clock hour for this morning, I couldn't even put a thought together. No food. My legs were numb all day from sitting on this big, tall chair, recording 4 hours of people telling you yes or no to the plan. I was like, oh, boy. That was Bruce Hornsby. Here's this. Done. All right, so you start the news, and I'll sit here and I'll absorb.
You absorb, you interject, you do whatever you have to do.
That's what I'll do.
The first story was a story I didn't actually write up, but it's making the rounds on social media. It's got a Muskegon connection, so I wanted to get your take on it. Big fight happened in the NHL last night.
Oh, yeah.
That caused a huge
2 nights ago, wasn't it?
I thought it was last night. Maybe it was 2 nights ago.
The Ovechkin fight?
Alex Ovechkin and Andre Svechnikov, who played for the Lumberjacks, 19-year-old kid, he gets knocked out. Ovechkin, a noted brawler,
KO'd,
knocks him out. He's KO'd before he even hits the ice.
Yep.
And now what do we get? We get everybody coming. Oh, we got to get rid of fighting in hockey. We can't have fighting anymore. What say you?
I think Andre Svechnikov is a really, really nice kid. He was never anything but pleasant. He's a remarkable hockey player. But I think being around hockey as long as I have, when they get to the NHL, sooner or later, a lesson gets taught. And every one of these players will teach you that sooner or later, either in the locker room or out on the ice, you're going to get your ass whipped. And it might be a beatdown. It might be a sit down and come to Jesus meeting. It just seems to be the way things go. So, in as much as I wouldn't want to see Andre Svechnikov pummeled, it's kind of the nature of the beast. Huh?
Exactly. That's been my argument. I got into a discussion with the Offsire on 13 this morning about this. And it's like, we got to get rid of fighting. It's like, you might as well get rid of the ice.
Right.
Somebody might slip and fall. Get rid of the sticks. They're gonna knock somebody's eye out.
I'm not saying I'm all for it.
It's insane.
I'm just simply saying that
it's been part of the sport since the sport was a sport.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a huge. I mean, you're involved with the Lumberjacks. You see this every night. It's the soul of the game. It's part of the spirit of the game. It really is. Whether you like it or not. You take that out, you take a good part of the spirit of hockey away. Once again, I'm not a huge hockey guy, but I respect the athletes. I respect the skill it takes, and I respect the thuggery.
Right.
Because you need those guys. You need those guys as enforcers. They have a role to play on the team, and I can appreciate and respect that as well. You don't want to see anybody get seriously hurt.
No.
But it's a violent game. It's part of the game, and to take that part out of it, I think is just ludicrous.
I think it's never going to happen.
And it shouldn't. And you know what? You know what that inspired me to do, though, after we had that discussion? I started watching old clips of the movie Slapshot, one of the greatest movies of all time, with Muskegon's own Jeff Carlson.
Yep, Jeff. Yep.
He's a great dude, and he was phenomenal in that. You forget he had some great lines.
Oh yeah.
In that movie, in addition to all the great hockey fights and all those great scenes.
My favorite.
And that's a movie. It really does hold up. I mean, that was from 1977.
Yeah. My favorite with Jeff Carlson is bumping into him at a hockey game here after about his 5th beer. I love you and Dave, man. You guys are great.
Man.
And I'm like, dude, you were in Slapshot. Don't tell us how good we were.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You worked with Paul Newman. You've had the great, seriously, just having that.
Yeah.
Having experienced that, however long it took to film that movie, to be able to work with Paul Newman and to have that role and to just really be an icon. Those guys are icons.
Right.
And man, you can't, at the end of the day, you can't take the fighting out. That's just ridiculous. Completely insane.
Hey, quick one here for you. I just saw pop up before you get going.
Okay.
I saw Harry Anderson died.
Really? I thought he'd been dead.
No, I just saw the headline this morning. It said, well, maybe he'd been dead. I don't know.
Harry Anderson's been dead for a while.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
This just in, about 6 months ago, Harry Anderson died, roughly.
All right. Well,
I think it was 2018.
Listen, in the words of Steve Martin, excuse me. Here, all right, you start your story. I'm going to look it up.
Okay. All right, fine. I guarantee you it was 2018, maybe 2017. I don't know. Nearly $1 billion is poured in from around the world to restore the fire-ravaged Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Incredibly, no one was killed in the blaze that broke out on Monday. French President Emmanuel Macron has set a 5-year deadline to restore the 12th century landmark. And, the more I think about the history of this place, you're talking about a 12th century building that I think it took like 300 years to build, or 200 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And what it really meant to Western civilization and the Judeo-Christian work ethic and all that stuff, the balance of religion and reason, and the historical significance, especially once you really look back on it and investigate it, is incredible. And you really understand even more what it meant and what it means, not just to the people of France and the people of Paris, but to everybody who's benefited from that culture. It's amazing. What else is going on? Former House Speaker and Vice Presidential candidate Paul Ryan, speaking of Notre Dame, is joining the faculty at the University of Notre Dame. Ryan will guest lecture both political science and economics courses. The spokesperson for the university says having former officials in the classroom provides important insight for students. I think that's definitely a good thing. I think that's good in any walk of life. Whether you're talking about a business classes, having somebody who's actually run a business in the class talking about what it takes. It goes back to Thornton Mellon and Back to School.
Right.
When you had the business professor and he's
you left out the Boy Scouts. You got to worry about the garbage. They're not the Boy Scouts.
That'll be quite enough, Mr. Mellon.
That's right.
Oh, jeez. Finally, Muskegon County Commissioners, you were there. You saw they voted 6-2 to evict Planned Parenthood from its space in the county's Department of Public Health building on Apple Avenue. Planned Parenthood, of course, provides birth control, contraceptives, and HIV testing, as well as men's and women's healthcare services. A separate contract with Planned Parenthood to offer clinical services like access to birth control and patient referrals will remain unaltered. Planned Parenthood has 90 days to move out. Health department officials say this space is needed to expand HIV services and to create a clinic with private rooms and larger workstations for vaccinations. Now, there's a lot of argument going back and forth. So I'm saying, this is a political move. I don't think you can eliminate the politics from this, but people forget this wasn't a place where you could actually get abortion services.
Right.
I mean, they didn't deal with that. So, if it was a political move, it was a symbolic political move more than anything else.
Yeah.
But as long as they, I don't have an issue with it as long as they're still providing services and what they're doing is going to provide healthcare services, to people who, obviously many of whom are on the lower end of the economic spectrum. So
Sure.
as long as those people are getting taken care of, I don't really have an issue with it.
Well, there was some thoughts that Planned Parenthood would move right out of Muskegon and be gone if they don't have this. So we'll have to wait and see if they try to find a new space or if they're just going to pack it up and go.
Yeah, that was discussed as an option. So we shall see.
I don't know.
You said you were there. You said it was, for the most part, it was a respectful discussion. It wasn't.
Yeah, and it really was. Everybody said their piece, and people are passionate about that stuff. But like you said, they don't provide abortions there.
Mm-hmm. So I think the fact that they don't do that probably maybe took, when I said, you expect fireworks and explosive arguments when you're dealing with that part of the
don't get me wrong. There were some people that came right out and jumped right in with the whole Planned Parenthood cuts spinal cords in the wombs and tears kids limb from limb and blah. It's like, I don't know anybody that's all for abortion. You know what I mean? I don't know anybody that's, dude, I come back to the same thing every time. God gave humans free will.
Mm-hmm. The counter argument to that is, does that mean you have the free will to end an innocent life? That's the counter argument.
I agree totally. This is a roadblock, man.
Right.
No, it doesn't mean you have the free will, but
okay,
he gave you you can deny God right to his face. And it's happened with humans, it's happened with angels, it's happened with quote unquote angels or whatever. How can we legislate that? I'm not for abortion in any way, shape, or form. I'm not. I'm against it. I think it's awful. I think it scares me. But at the end of the day, God gave humans that prerogative, and it's up to them to face their maker at some point.
I get that, and it's one of those issues that, I believe this: you can be pro-choice and be good, honest, decent person. You could be pro-life and be a good, honest, decent person. We've talked about this before. There are two issues I've just flip-flopped on. One is death penalty. The other is the abortion issue. I went from being, pro-death penalty to being against it, and I went from being pro-choice to being pro-life. But I'm not one of those people who believes you shouldn't, you can't penalize the mother. You can't. I don't think you can penalize the doctors either. For that, I don't think that's the thing. I don't know what the solution is to this. I don't have a solution. I just
nobody does. It's not a human decision.
You can make it. Like I said, I get. For me, the pro-life side carries more weight. It just does. The argument for pro-life as opposed to pro-choice makes more sense to me. And the same goes with the death penalty. Those who are against the death penalty make more sense to me than those who are for the death penalty. And when you think about it, they're usually on the complete opposite side when it comes to the life and choice issue, which I find interesting. But once again, this is going to be a never-ending debate. Never-ending. As long as it's a civil, as long as you can keep the discussion civil and everybody gets to say their piece, I think that's, at the end of the day, discussion is always good.
There you have it.
All right, sports. Let's get into it. Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win. We don't say that a lot anymore. They beat up on
2 days in a row. You said it.
4-0. I know. They're riding the crest of a winning streak now. Tigers fall to Pittsburgh in 10 innings, 5-3. Detroit, Milwaukee, Game 2 of the NBA's Eastern Conference first-round series. Milwaukee leads at 1-0. Once again, this is a 4-game sweep. Don't waste your time.
Okay.
I'm not anti-Pistons. I'm anti-bad basketball, and they're just playing bad basketball.
I'm anti-basketball, there you go. Period. So.
Okay.
Not a fan. Are you done?
Noted. Yes, I am.
All right. Well, have yourself a wonderful Wednesday. I will plan on seeing you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Thank you for wearing a tie today.
I did. You know what? Keep the. I decided I'm gonna keep it professional. No more of this casual Dave stuff.
Look at you.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this.
You think you were on a screen test?
Absolutely,
Wow.
You think? I'm not.
Have a good one, man.
See ya.